Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Northeast Louisiana is a fairly rural area of the state, but at one time it was the most populous place in North America.
Poverty Point is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in West Carroll Parish. This week, TWILA's Melancon takes us to the indigenous New York of its time to see how people lived, worked, and ate.
From this roadside in West Carroll Parish, this may seem like another empty rural field. However, this place was once the New York of its time.
If you were standing here 3,500 years ago, you would be in the center of the known world in North America. This was the cultural capital and what is today the United States.
Little is known about the people who lived here, but we do have the mounds they've left behind. This is Mound A. During its heyday, it was almost 75 feet tall. You might be surprised to learn it took less than 3 months for people to move that dirt and build it, but its purpose is still a mystery.
It's even today the second largest constructed mound in North America, with 390,000 tons of soil, 72 feet high at its apex, with a lower platform between 30 and 35 feet below. We don't find midden or trash deposits like you would expect for a domestic or housing space. So important people weren't living here. Unlike mounds that were built later on in time, there are no burials associated with this site or the mounds at all. So it just shows you that the culture was very different roughly 3,500 years ago compared to native cultures of today.
While it may not look as impressive, these ridges were where the indigenous people lived. The scale of it is hard to see, but these semicircles span more than 40 acres. From the air, you can see just how big the place is. In fact, almost as much earth was moved to make these ridges as the big mounds.
We estimate about 175,000 cubic yards of earth being brought into the plaza in order to create a taller, flatter level space. So that's about 3/4 of the amount of dirt that it would take to build Mound A just for a big flat space.
One of the most amazing things is thousands of people lived here without agriculture. They hunted and fished from places near here. In fact, the site is so old, the nearby Bayou Maison may not have even existed back then.
The archaeology suggests between 8,000 and 12,000 people. That includes the laborers and all the support needed. But keep in mind that these people were not farmers at the time. They were hunting, fishing, and gathering. So it really is a really important place that we're protecting.
Besides the sheer scale, the age of the place defies imagination. Retiree Vince Heyer says it was hard to wrap his mind around the fact that people were here more than 3 millennia ago.
We only have, in our lifetimes, current things to think about, and it's hard to think about so long ago and what people were doing as groups.
One thing to think about is that Poverty Point also predates the bow and arrow. The people here hunted with javelins and atlatls, which are levers that help propel the javelins to take down game. You can try your hand at it if you visit, as Vince did. Of course, his wife did even better.
Nice! Oh!
My wife, Sherry, got to try it, and she's got a pretty good arm.
Nice! Oh my goodness, you almost hit it your first time.
I got to try my hand at it too, and at least I made it to the target.
Nice. Oh, you got it. It bounced. There you go. Ricochet. That counts.
It's a lot of fun, but it's also awe-inspiring to think how so many people lived here before us.
With hundreds or thousands of people living on 6 elevated ridges that surrounded a plaza for big events and parties and dances, and covered with timber circles, right, in at least a few different places inside that plaza. And beyond those ridges, you would see the largest mounds that had yet been created in North America, including Mound A here, which stood as the largest earthen structure for over 2,000 years.
The enduring mysteries that are being researched here at Poverty Point draws 15,000 visitors from all over the world to this World Heritage Site. The one thing we do know is that even though millennia separates us from the mound-building people that lived here, the fertile lands around here continue to support life as we know it. Reporting from Poverty Point, I'm Neil Melancon.
Poverty Point has a World Heritage Festival each September, but you don't have to wait a year to go. Poverty Point is open from 8 to 5 every day and has guided tours available. We'll have a link for you on our website at twilatv.org.
Roughly a century ago, there were nearly 2 million acres of cotton grown in Louisiana. That's according to LSU. And all of it was grown and picked by hand, as the harvesting locomotive wouldn't be around for a few more years.
This year, only about 120,000 acres of cotton will be harvested in the state. TWILA's Karl Wiggers traveled to Franklin Parish to catch up with a young farmer who is still counting on cotton to be king when it comes to his bottom line.
For us, cotton's both our hearts and souls, so we really love the crop and love growing it.
For Cody and Melanie Beavers of Franklin Parish, there's no better way to end the crop year than with a field full of cotton. The couple, along with their partner, Jack Daly, farm a pretty typical mix of crops found in northeast Louisiana: corn, cotton, soybeans, and cattle. According to Cody, farming is a tough job, but its rewards start to appear as the leaves fall off of this crop.
It's kind of a challenge for both of us, and then to see a crop like this, once the leaves come off, it's really we're really proud of what we've done, and we know all the hard work that's went into it.
For many farmers across Louisiana, 2022 and 2023 crops faced adverse weather, hurting their crops and their pocketbooks. With elevated input prices and depressed market prices, Beavers is now weathering an economic storm in 2024.
It's been quite a challenge, and it's really taken a toll on a lot of us, just having to think about all the strife that we've got, knowing we've got a good crop. And it's a thing when you've got a good crop and can't make any money at it. It's just a tough thing to really swallow.
Facing that challenge, Beavers is left putting a lot of hope in this cotton crop to help their bottom line.
Cotton's the last hope that I've got for something to be profitable on paper, because grains have been ugly. We're just going to hope and pray that it's a good crop and we can get lucky and get a good price for it.
The cotton price this week is around 71 cents, which Beavers says still falls short of break even for this crop.
Being price takers like we are, it's a hard thing for a lot of folks to wrap their head around, that the amount of money that goes into this for what little return we get out of it. It's profit margins are razor thin right now, if even existent. So it's a tough thing to have to deal with.
Those razor-thin margins are why Louisiana Farm Bureau and farmers like Cody Beavers are asking Congress to pass a farm bill now.
It's definitely a necessity in our line of work to have some safety net there that gives our lenders a peace of mind, and us as well as growers, just to know that we can grow the cheapest crops really in the world and with the most quality.
Reporting in Gilbert, Louisiana, I'm Karl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Cotton harvest is a little behind the 5-year average, but not by much. Harvest is about 70% complete. Following Hurricane Helene, there are lots of stories coming out about perseverance, strength, and neighbors helping neighbors.
And who knows that mentality better than farmers? In North Carolina, the chair of the North Carolina Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers program found a way to bring help to people who have been cut off by the storm.
I was spraying on a pasture with my other drone and seeing all these posts on Facebook about needing helicopters. I know that these drones can be some help.
Taking off.
Yeah, that's us.
Drones have become a popular tool in agriculture. Surrey County farmer Preston Cave now knows that technology can serve as a vital tool in times of disaster.
There's got to be situations where we can fly stuff over bridges, fly stuff within 1,000 feet with our ag drones.
Through Facebook, he connected with others who wanted to support the post-Helene rescue and recovery efforts in western North Carolina.
National Guard wants us to fly anything and everything.
Together, this self-formed drone team made a difference in the days after the storm.
We was there handing out supplies to people passed out for miles. One person, we had enough gas there to fill up their car. They're from Georgia, so they was able to get home. Was able to take 3 trips, 3 shopping carts full over the river with an ag drone and drop it down to an elderly couple. 5 cases of water, I think like 10 gallons of gas and some food. Best Way Ag, so they got fly carts down here. We can use our other drones, smaller drones with speaker systems on it. We've got recordings on it. We can go out to the community, yell at them through the speaker of the drone.
We know you're here. We are sending help.
And we can hear what they say back, fly back, bring the fly cart in and drop stuff.
A perfect example of how a little innovation can help during challenging times.
It's everything. I mean, it's awesome.
Our thanks to the North Carolina Farm Bureau for sharing that story. If you want to help relief efforts in North Carolina and all the other impacted states, we have a link posted right now on twilatv.org.
Teachers, farmers, and food vendors are working hard to show students why agriculture is vitally important. The LSU Ag Center's Farm to School Conference is one of the tools that supports its mission. Denise Email is the executive director of the fast food farm and one of the many vendors at the conference. She says it's important to teach children because they bring what they've learned home to their families.
I have such passion for bringing about the awareness of agriculture to little ones. I started seeing in 1999, I live in a very rural area, and saw that these kids are now disconnected. And I said, I've got to do something about it. So that's 25 years ago, I formed the fast food farm, because that is my passion, is to bring about the awareness and to bring it about to the youngest we can, because as they grow up, they're going to be our consumers, but also they're directing their parents and telling, I want to grow this in our backyard.
At Email's booth, she passed out pizza garden kits. Each box teaches the students how long it takes to grow different ingredients in a pizza. Email says she is committed to making sure children are learning where their food comes from.
Still to come on TWILA, a very special report on the history of Italian immigrants working farms here in Louisiana. Suzanne Ferreira joins us for an in-depth look. Stay with us.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
October is Italian American Heritage Month, and it's a time to recognize the contributions of Italian immigrants.
What you may not know is we have a number of Italian American farmers right here in Louisiana. Joining us now is Suzanne Ferreira, who used to work with me over at KATC, WFB,
right.
And as you can tell by her last name, she has a vested interest in this
Absolutely,
story.
Avery. Thank you so much. You know, this is an amazing story because my grandfather and his father and brothers worked in the fields in Sicily before he came to Louisiana and opened up a market in the French Quarter. And I receive vivid stories from them about what it was like down there. I saw the colors, I smelled the produce, I touched it. It was just so real. But most importantly, this series really opened up my world in understanding more about the respect and love that the Italian culture has for agriculture.
The sad part about these people work so hard, they outworked everything. They outworked the competition. They outworked them, and that's what they done. They had no choice but to outwork. They had to work, and they would work day and night, and whatever it took, they worked.
They left Sicily because it was a medieval society. It was terrible living, tough living there.
Louisiana's Italian and Sicilian descendants hold close the harsh way of life that their immigrating forefathers endured in the fields of the mother country. Their legacies unequivocally stir profound empathy and infinite gratitude for the oppressive conditions their loved ones withstood in order for the familiar to survive day to day. Their ancestors stand as a testament to the resilience and hard work that defines them.
They accomplished with nothing,
6,000 miles away in the land of their origins, the progenies of those who stayed behind, those who were fused to the unforgiving land more than a century ago, share a candid depiction of the grueling agricultural existence their ancestors endured before their arrival in America.
Questa è la foto del bisnonno con la famiglia.
This is a picture of my great-grandfather with his family and his children. He suffered a lot because he had no animals to work, so he didn't have any help in the countryside, but he did everything with the strength of his arms and with his great will. He went far away to work, and many times he camped and slept on the ground or leaned on some nearby house.
Questa è una tipologia diversa di quella. Questa si chiama grillo.
Fate took the wheel 100 years later. Paradoxically, Giuseppe Ferrata produces grapes and olives, just as his great-grandfather and great-uncles did for the feudatorio, or landowners. Only today he's harvesting them on his own property in Contessa Antolina, something that was inconceivable for his ancestors and thousands of others who fled Sicily. He stands alongside the vast countryside of the Belice Valley, where his great-grandfather and uncles laboriously devoured as far as the eye can see. Saying they covered a lot of ground is a gross understatement, as the patriarch was sought after for his Herculean capabilities and unshakable dedication, a combination that the economically shrewd Gabalotti, the estate managers for the feudatorio, were keenly aware of in the Sicani Mountains during this historic era. The great-grandfather's unusual grand-sized weathered hands and twisted fingers formed from daunting repetitive agricultural toil are a testament of not only the amazing power of the human body, but of the agricultural reputation of the Sicilian people, and more importantly, their relentless willingness to work. Thousands of these rural laborers, also known as the contadini, were victims of a complex, multi-layered hierarchy within a distinctive feudal economic society that thrived for centuries on the backs of these exploited laborers. The vulnerable contadini remain trapped in an inescapable system.
The farmers benefit only minimally from their labor, and most of the profits coming from their hard work allow the landowners to live in luxury and in opulence in the big cities.
They were desperate, and most of the land was owned by what they call land barons.
It couldn't have been too good because they all left and came to America. They had a hard time just probably finding food to eat.
And the demand for agricultural labor was at an all-time high in Louisiana, a powerful catalyst for hungry immigrants.
Once some of them came over and heard that they were able to make money and send money back home, they said, hey, the hell with this place. They decided to come to America.
And that they did. Thousands of Sicilians as well as Italians boarded steamships and ocean liners to escape agricultural oppression, leaving their homeland and seeking fortuna in America. At least 300,000 Italians, primarily from Sicily, immigrated to Louisiana between 1870 and 1920.
They were resilient. They left a country looking for a better life, looking for prosperity for their kids.
It had to be hard for them to come over here. They really had it in their head to come over here and make something of themselves. But when they left over there, like I said, I know that they had to have relatives, cousins, uncles, and all.
And then they were recruited by various groups. My great-grandfather financed a lot of immigrants coming into especially Tickfall.
A key role was played by two brothers from Contessa, the Vaccaro brothers, who were helping them to immigrate to America and also to find them work once here.
At their core was the unwavering determination to achieve the American dream And while it was something they did, it was far from easy.
Now, they had hard times when they came here. They had people that really didn't treat them very well.
But overall, the majority of Italian and Sicilian immigrants settled in enclaves throughout the state with their own kind from the motherland. This brought great comfort. However, it spelled survival.
They pulled the rope together, a team that works together, prays together, stays together. They work, they pull that rope all in one direction.
Intrinsically linked, many initially worked and lived on sugarcane plantations throughout Louisiana.
We were living on the Myrtle Grove plantation that does not exist today. That's where we first started off in Franklin Parish.
If you worked in the sugar plantations, cutting cane, you worked with blacks too. So they growing a garden and sharing it with their neighbor, that was unheard of.
They were looking for them to work, and but they, in the meantime, they were looking for their own place to farm. And when they found it, then the families got together and they would help one another. They saved their money, and from that saving their money, then they start looking in places where they could purchase land. Land in Franklin Parish was cheap at one time.
They baffled many with their know-how as they transformed and cultivated marshland that was considered uncultivatable, riddled with debris.
Just as happy as can be to get that little piece of land with nothing but, frogs in it and swamp land.
It makes you proud to know that they came over here and nobody gave them anything. They worked.
They did achieve the American dream because they bought property. From property they built homes. And from there they sent their children to school and to college.
Pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
And there's more to come. We have several parts to this where we're going to learn about the evolution of their farming business and their futures.
Okay, in this first part, Suzanne, what was the aha moment for you when you said, what? I had no idea about this.
Well, it always just resonated with me. I mean, just the love and pride, the way my father described it. But when I actually went down there and spoke to these people who are of the same heritage, it just really brought it to life on a whole nother level.
No, I'm looking forward to see what else you bring to us.
Thanks so much, Suzanne.
Thank y'all.
Well, still to come on TWILA, best boy or bad dog? We'll let you decide.
Now time for this week's TWILA Boost. And you know the phrase, a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Well, how about a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know. How would they know?
TikToker Lucy Jones shared this video of her collie literally wearing sheep's clothing. You think anybody's gonna know? I mean, the markings on the dog were very close to those sheep.
The best part was that his eyes looked like he knew exactly what he was doing. And just like our dog does when she does something wrong, so.
Dogs never do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll show you all the ag education it takes to care for Mike the Tiger.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, X, Instagram, and also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when we put something new out.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.